Hey Dad, sorry, it looks like I missed your call again. All we really wanted to do is to just give you a heads up where we were heading. No plans in particular, just heading down the Kenai and the Scamp today. You'd love this area. The water that we're passing by down here is just beautiful. You know, it's like that time of year you were here before where the grass is so green, but yet the snow is still clinging to the mountains. And you have to get down here again. These locations have just picture-perfect trout and salmon streams running through every little town we're going through. Okay, don't want to take up too much of your time, Dad. We'll try to give you a call again tomorrow if we have cell coverage. Love ya.
Yeah, I do want to help, Dad. I do. I want to help.
You want to help? Okay, you can help. Can you grab me the propane right there? While making our breakfast at our first campsite, May asked me what I wanted to get out of this week in terms of destinations and outdoor pursuits. She probably was expecting me to say something like, let's climb a mountain or air up the kayaks or chase some fish. That is probably why she was a little surprised when I said, let's just head out and see where the road takes us. That seems to be more and more my tone lately. Waking up every morning in a different campsite in locations I've never even seen on a map. I need to expose, I think, a little higher for myself. So as you can see, this is kind of the natural progression of where everything ended up after breakfast. And this was only pancakes and eggs and some fruit. And so one of the reasons most people come out of their Scamp to cook, it's not just for nature. You sometimes need the space, and I'll show you inside. It's pretty limited. Quick little Scamp tip for you guys. We find there's never enough counter space when doing dishes and getting stuff ready, food prepping. And so we just use one of these collapsible aluminum tables, and it just pops up really quick, and it just makes Scamp life a little easier. So sometimes cooking isn't very glamorous either. A lot of times things get all over the pan, grease gets thrown around. That's another reason people cook outdoors. Minimizes a bit of the mess that you're getting all over the Scamp. Typically, when sitting around our messy campsite after breakfast, I start working on my carefully curated itinerary. But I'm finding more and more weeks out here where our family is exchanging planning and routine for new, wild, unknown adventures. Another little camp tip for you, these Coleman propanes are quite annoying. You go through them quite quick, but bigger than that, these cost a lot. So pretty quickly when you get into this, what you're going to figure out is you're going to want to add a connection to your propane tank so that you're running your stove off of the propane that's already on your Scamp or already hooked up to your teardrop. On this trip, none of these destinations were planned. We're going to take you to the most westerly highway point in North America, catch a rarely seen moment of tractors pulling boats into the ocean, and bring you along while we set net for Alaska salmon, shrouded below one of Alaska's breathtaking volcanoes. Here at Anchor Point, they launch boats with tractors. So out there, the flats are so shallow on the ocean, they have to drag your boat and trailer out into the ocean to release you out there. You can see even in a lower tide here, could you imagine taking your boat and trailer out to launch it? The man who's operating it, kind of a younger man, is letting his sister drive it today for some practice. For those of us who own small camper trailers, we come to realize that we don't need to have that perfect campsite to rest our heads. No longer do we have to ensure we have sunlight and space to throw up the tent. The perfect campsite is following us on two wheels, and we just have to guide it to its next resting spot. So this is not one of the things on our bucket list, but you know how sometimes you read in your little tourist guide that there's this really neat thing like you can stand on the equator? Never was on our bucket list. Well, this is the most westerly point in America that you can drive on a highway. Anchor Point, Alaska. Woo! Is that exciting? We did it!
We did it!
It went on our bucket list 5 minutes ago and we did it!
Yeah!
Life is amazing! Anchor Point, Alaska, most westerly highway point in North America. Sometimes you just have to get off the highway, take some back roads, and slow down. A little ways up the coast, we make our way to more familiar territory. These are our salmon grounds.
Did make it down.
You guys had to pick the furthest darn site. That's my friend Matt. And that guy in the tank top? That's Matt too. Just 4 or 5 years younger. The guy with the bad facial hair? You guessed it. That's me before we had our 2 boys. When Matt and I are together, we spend a majority of our time fly fishing. But when our families want to fill our freezers fast, we pull out the nets. I spent the last 13 winters working in rural Alaska, or what many of you may know as the Alaskan bush. It was through this career where I first met Matt. Besides our shared lifestyle of hopping on Yupik Eskimo taxis, to then hop on bush planes and then do it all over again in the next village, Matt and I quickly found we had a shared interest in all things fishing. I'm the trout fisherman and Matt is the salmon guy. And salmon guy is definitely an understatement. I have come to believe over time that Matt's salmon mystique is truly rooted in his family's DNA. Most people in Alaska are familiar with the Tlingit and the Haida, but Matt comes from a less known people group in the southeast known as Tsimshian. Like Tlingit and Haida, Matt's family line spent their days perfecting the harvest of sea life along the coast, and most specifically, the salmon. You see that net right there in the water? If you watch closely, you will see it start to bow. That is what we come out here for. It gives us 3 signals: either a run of salmon just hit the net, a world-famous king salmon just got tangled up in it, or a seal's hitting the net chasing more fish. All 3 tell us the fish are in. For those of you who have been on this YouTube journey with us, you know May's love language is acts of subsistence. And you probably picked up quickly that my love language is all things simple and free. Set netting is the perfect marriage of these 2 interests. Although Matt is known to most as an artist for his participation in native dance and for his drum making ability, the art I know Matt for is the lost art of cutting fish with an ulu. Every time we get done fly fishing together and Matt breaks out his ulu, he always gathers a small crowd. And I must admit, as much as I have seen it, it doesn't ever grow old. On to the next campsite, the next adventure, lather, rinse, repeat. We did it!